I became a Christian in 1970 as a result of the Asbury revival. And at that time, I thought that I loved the Lord with all my heart, my mind, my soul, everything that I had. Went to Asbury College, thought I'd be a missionary, started college, and right in the middle of college, smack dab did I get thrown for a loop. And somebody approached me in a way that I couldn't say no to. And for the first time in my life, I really understood what sin was. And it really started to separate me from the Lord. But when this woman approached me, I said yes, and I could no longer say no. And so for 20 years, I lived a lifestyle that is controversial. And I was very much rejected for a long time. My mother, however, stood beside me. And she was a wonderful woman who taught me a lot about joy. I knew I was a delight to her. I never felt that delight from my father. And after my mother died, and I was grieving so deeply, the Lord said to me one day, "Sandy, you've never let go of your mother." He said, "If you'll let go of her, I can be both mother and father to you now." And I was in the worst pain I'd been in my entire life at that point. I had nobody to attach to at that point. And so there really wasn't a choice. I thought, I've got to give him a choice, an opportunity to be that to me. I don't think I can live without love. And so I said yes to him. And after that point, he came into the deepest part of pain in me. And I never felt alone again. I felt complete for the first time in my life. I really came into my true identity. And several weeks after that, the Lord prophetically called me into healing ministry. When I started out at Calvary Assembly Counseling Center, I started out with just a couple people doing some prayer ministry with them. And the word was getting out that people were getting resolve. And more people started coming. And about every couple months, the numbers were doubling. And before long, I was working with 35 people a week, sometimes up until 1 o'clock in the morning, 6 days a week, sometimes a little more, because there was such an avalanche of people wanting help and people getting help and seeing their lives change.
I had a good job. I had my own home. It looked successful from the outside. I was loved. Good things were happening, but inside I was really dying. I didn't realize how broken I was.
Oh, I like her so much, I love her and everything, but if I tell her that, I'm illegal in this country, at that point I was illegal in this country, she's gonna be like, oh no, I don't wanna be with you and stuff. So I kind of made up an identity, a different identity to, kind of be normal, kind of blend in with everybody.
For years, our relationship was kind of built on a lie.
There was abuse with my father and my mother, both of them.
I was 19 and naive enough to think that, if I did everything that I was supposed to, if I did this and I did that, my dad would get better. He didn't. So I kept turning around to try to go back to the car because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to have to accept the fact and see that my dad had passed away, and my mom kind of just grabbed my arm and said, "Quit being dramatic. You're expected to be here." And so not only did I lose my dad that day, but something broke, I think. And I just kind of never was the same.
I had done some counseling, I call it secular counseling. I had done some of that before, but there was no real healing in that. It was just going in, process your thoughts, go back out, get upset again because you didn't really resolve anything, then going back in, processing your thoughts, and you just processed thoughts. You didn't get healing from it. So at the time, I didn't want to live. I had attempted suicide about 13 times up until that point, and so I didn't want to live. I've never wanted to live. I just always wanted to be dead.
There's a scripture that talks about cutting a hole in the roof and lowering someone in before Jesus. There's a story in the Bible like that so that he could heal them. And lots of people need somebody to cut a hole in the roof. They need a branch, somebody to come alongside them and help them to connect to the Lord in a way that they can experience him and encounter him in their trauma, their bad memories. And he can turn them around. He can reframe those things. He He can change their experiential history through healing prayer and encountering Him.
I mean, my whole life has just blossomed in 3 months, if you can believe it. I went from not being able to keep a stable job to now I work 2.
And as time went on, I started feeling lighter and lighter and lighter, and I became more aware of my surroundings. I became more aware of my kids, my body. I could feel my body. I could, the sun was brighter, trees were greener. It's like, really, this is really happening?
She leads you into the presence of the Lord, but then He really shows up and does the work.
They accept exactly who I am because they see what God created me to be, and it was a huge eye-opener because no one had ever done that before.
Let me put it this way, if it wasn't for Sandy right now, me and my wife would be divorced.
If Sandy Martin hadn't helped me heal, if she hadn't pointed me to Jesus, I was despairing of life, and now God is using me to give life.
What she gives is the overflow of love of God. That's what she gives to other people. And that's what can touch people and heal them.
Even as I stepped out of the counseling center, a home opened up to us, a ministry home that somebody let us use for 1.5 years for free. And so people that would get help would come. We formed a little community together, just kind of like a microcosm of what we want to do on a larger scale. And it became their house. And they would come for ministry, but then they would form a community together of people that were learning again to connect and joy. No matter where the Lord has placed me, whether it's a different kind of a church body or whatever, there's been more and more people that have come for help until it became that more and more people were coming from out of state. And sometimes they would stay here and do intensive ministry for a while and then go back to their homes. And therefore, that's one of the reasons why we need the bigger home for people to come, that they can stay for a while longer and, again, be in redemptive community. We need the property to grow and expand. We need the home for people to come to. We need to be able to provide for them opportunities of growth where they can mature. We need to be able to offer a place for people to come and do internship and training and be a bigger part of the bigger vision. And so for years and years, we've been looking at different properties in North Carolina and looking for what we felt He was saying was the house on the hill that He was gonna give us. I have been contacted by many other ministries. Do you have your home yet? Can I send someone there yet? And I have to say no, we don't have it yet. And that's hard. It's hard to turn people away that desperately need help.
They need a place for ministry to happen. They need provision. And I'm asking God to bring people around who get it, who understand the importance of what she does. But because I am a life that was changed, I'm a great cheerleader for what she's doing. And so I would hope and pray that more and more people will get on board, support her, and encourage her so that God can take it to the next level and more people can walk in freedom. And not just walk in freedom, but then share that freedom with others and become who they really were meant to be by God's design.